Hey, and welcome back to Wild Mythology. I welcome you to the channel with bread and salt, and I wish you a happy April Fool's Day. Today's video is the third in the Greek mythology series Greek Myths in Chronological Order. But before we get to the video, I'm happy to announce that we're doing a giveaway. For the month of April, we're giving away a leather-bound book called Bulfinch's Mythology by Thomas Bulfinch. Bulfinch's Mythology is a collection of mythologies and stories that mainly focuses on Greek and Roman myths, tales from King Arthur, and the legends of Charlemagne. The book also mentions some myths from Norse mythology and also goes a little bit into Eastern mythology. It's a great book and is definitely an essential in any mythology collection. Now, it's free to enter the giveaway. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel and leave a comment on this video about a myth or mythological character you want me to talk about in the future. Then, at the end of the month, I will put the names of everyone who commented into a randomizer, ship the winner the book, and reveal the winner in the first video of May. Simple as that. But wait, there's more. If you comment on every video that I release this April, you'll get an extra entry into the randomizer. That means if I do 5 videos this month, and you comment on each one, you get 5 entries and a better chance to win the giveaway. I'll only be counting each person once per video, so unfortunately multiple comments on the same video won't give you any extra entries. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification button so you can comment on my newest videos and get yourself an extra entry. Plus, we're going to start doing giveaways every single month now, so make sure you're following us to stay updated. Alright, enough of that, let's get on with the story. In the last video, Gaia, the primordial goddess of the earth, and Uranus, the primordial god of the sky, had 18 children together. The 12 Titans, the 3 Cyclopses, and the 3 Hecatonchires. And Uranus was happy with his 12 Titan children because of their great beauty, but was disgusted with his other 6 sons because of their disfigured forms. And so he banished them from the earth's surface. This made Gaia furious, and so she requested her children's help in destroying their father. Cronus, the Titan of Time, and 4 of his brothers agreed to help the Earth Mother. And so while Uranus was distracted, Cronus' 4 brothers ambushed him, allowing Cronus to heavily injure his father. But before he made the final strike, Uranus cursed Cronus, telling him that he would someday be struck down by his own child. And so Cronus cut Uranus into pieces and locked them in the pit of Tartarus. With his father disposed of, Cronus began his rule as king of the cosmos. The morning day and light of Hemera and Ether woke Cronus from his slumber. It had been 1 year since Cronus had become the king, and as he got out of bed, Cronus smiled, for lying next to him was his sister wife, his queen, his Rhea. Much had happened since he became king, including the beginning construction of his palace and kingdom on Mount Othrys. For this, he had requested the help of the Telkynes, the sea dog children of the ocean primordials Pontus and Thalassa. While Cronus thought they were disgusting-looking creatures, he couldn't doubt their great skills in crafting and metalworking. As he started to get dressed, he began to think of his siblings and all the children they had together in the last year. Oceanus and Tethys couldn't keep their hands off each other and already had 100 children. 50 boys, the spirits of rivers that called themselves the Potamoi, and 50 girls, the spirits of water sources that called themselves the Oceanids. They all dwelled with their parents on a giant island in the middle of the ocean. Oceanus and Tethys had been successful in their negotiations with the sea primordial Thalassa, and now had the island and a large piece of the surrounding ocean to themselves. As Cronus began his walk to his throne room, he thought of his other siblings' recent children. Koios and Phoebe had 2 girls, Leto, the Titaness of motherhood, and Asteria, the Titaness of falling stars. Leto shared the same domain as his queen and was a very gentle deity. Asteria was beautiful and loved to jump from high places, pretending to be a falling star. Cronus then thought of his half-sister Eurybia and his brother Creus, who had just recently had another child for a total of 3 boys. The eldest was Astrius, the Titan of Dusk. A middle child was Perseus, the Titan of Destruction. And the youngest was Pallas, the Titan of Warcraft. All 3 could usually be found roughhousing together, especially with the recent birth of the Titan of War. In fact, as Chronos passed a window, he stopped as he saw Pallas dropkick his elder brothers in the face. Amused by the brats, Chronos' attention was pulled to the sounds of crafting. The sounds led him to the triplets of his siblings Hyperion and Thea, 2 women and a man who were in the process of building chariots. There was Helios, the Titan of the Sun, Selene, the Titaness of the Moon, and Eos, the Titaness of Dawn. After all 3 were born, they had come to Chronos and requested his permission to build 2 chariots. They had explained to him that the chariots would be called the Sun and the Moon, and that they would act as a source of light and heat without the need of the primordials Hemera and Ether. This made Chronos intrigued. He had never liked how powerful the primordials were, but he couldn't do to them what he did to his father. That would mean he'd have to be in charge of their domains, and only someone insane would accept the responsibility. And even though the amount of power was tempting, he thought of how much work he already had as king. So if he couldn't destroy the primordials through physical means, Chronos would do it by another. Liking the idea of the light primordials being obsolete, he gave his blessings to the children of Hyperion. Already the 2 chariots were looking magnificent. One shined like gold and had a small fire encircling it. The other glowed like silver and pulled any source of water towards it. Excited for the future result, Chronos continued to the throne room. As Chronos continued his walk, he thought of his final brother, Iapetus. Iapetus had married Clymene, the eldest daughter of Oceanus and Tethys. Together, the 2 had brought 4 boys into the world: Atlas, the Titan of Endurance; Menoetius, the Titan of Rash Action; and the twins, Prometheus, the Titan of Forethought, and Epimetheus, the Titan of Hindsight. Atlas was always training his strength, and was making quick work in becoming a master of battle. Chronos wouldn't be surprised if Atlas became his strongest general someday. Menoetius was a problem. He kept getting in trouble for acting before he thought. The amount of times he had to punish him made Chronos sigh. Prometheus, on the other hand, was always calm and collected. He could usually be found staring into the distance, as if he was gazing throughout time. And then there was Epimetheus. Unfortunately, while Prometheus was intelligent and clever, Epimetheus was dim and stupid. He was without a doubt the dumb twin, and had a habit of always making foolish decisions, then instantly regretting them. Entering his throne room while thinking of Epimetheus, a stray thought escaped Chronos' mouth. "I hope I never have a child as dumb as that idiot," he laughed. The moment after, a whisper filled his ear. "I curse you to be destroyed by your own child's hand." Jumping off his throne in fright, Chronos swiveled around looking for the intruder. But he found nothing. "Everything all right, my child?" said a motherly voice behind him. Turning quickly, Chronos found his mother Gaia standing before him. "What's wrong, my child? You look frightened." Chronos scoffed. "Please, mother, I fear nothing. I just thought I heard something," he said with a sneer. If you say so, my dear." Rolling his eyes, Chronos asked his mother what she wanted. "Walk with me," replied Gaia as she made her way to the stairs on the side of the throne room. Following his mother, the 2 walked in silence until they reached the roof. Looking out over Mount Otherus, Chronos smirked as he saw the progress of his new home. Great temples lined over the top of the mountain. Statues of himself and his siblings stood for all to see. There were fountains, trees, and even a coliseum for training and battle. Those sea dogs have their uses. For a reward, I suppose I won't destroy them, Chronos thought. I see that your kingdom is growing well, his mother said. This is only the beginning. Once the number of immortals grow, more of these great cities will be built across the earth, he said excitedly. Yes, I've been so overjoyed with the amount of grandchildren your siblings have given me, Gaia said with a motherly smile. But what about you, my dear? When should I expect yours and Rhea's first child? She asked. But before Chronos could respond, the whisper returned to his ear. I curse you to be destroyed by your own child's hand. Jerking his head away in fright, Chronos looked around but yet again found nothing. Luckily, his mother didn't notice this time, allowing Chronos to respond. Mother, I just became king. I'm far too busy for a child at the moment. If you say so, my son, but don't wait too long. Before you know it, you'll be left behind, Gaia teased. Chronos scoffed. Other than his siblings, the only other beings having babies were the primordials and their children. The sea primordials, Pontus and Thalassa, had made up from Pontus's affair with Gaia and gotten back right to where they left off, with populating the ocean with more sea life. They also had a nymph daughter named Halia, but she was of no importance. Pitiful, thought Chronos. They are primordials, and yet the best they can reproduce are gaping fish and a pathetic woman. The only useful creatures that have come from those two are the sea dogs. With his thoughts on the ocean, Chronos' mind went to his mother and her 5 children with Pontus. Eurybia had done the smart thing and married Creus, but the other 4 didn't interact much with the Titans. Eris had paired with one of Oceanus' daughters and already had 5 children with her. Thanatos had done the same with another of Oceanus' daughters, having 4 daughters with her, 2 of which were disgusting-looking bird-like creatures with the heads of maidens. There is nothing maiden-like about those 2 harpies, thought Chronos. And finally there was Phorcys and Ceto, who had paired together and gave birth to their first child, a half-snake, half-woman-like creature named Echidna. His mind then jumped to the other pair of childbearing primordials. Nyx and Erebus had been busy even before he had defeated his father. Recalling the last report of Nyx's children, there was Moros, the daemon god of doom, Eris, the daemon goddesses of violent death, Thanatos, the daemon god of peaceful death, Hypnos, the daemon god of sleep, the Onoroi, the daemon gods of dreams, Oasis, the daemon goddess of misery, Momos, the daemon god of blame, the 3 Moirai, the daemon goddesses of fate, Emesis, the daemon goddess of retribution, Apate, the daemon goddess of deceit, Velotis, the daemon goddess of friendship, Juras, the daemon god of old age, Eris, the daemon goddess of discord, and Charon, the ferryman. Most of them enjoyed playing tricks and causing destruction to his kingdom during the night, and unfortunately Chronos wasn't able to punish them too harshly. After all, it wasn't wise to piss off the primordial of night. But soon that would be dealt with. Most of Nyx's children weren't fans of light, and with the completion of the moon chariot coming soon, light would, for the first time, bless the night sky. Having a child is a beautiful gift, Gaia suddenly said, breaking Chronos out of his thoughts. And the feeling you get when your child or children succeed is like no other. When you have your first Chronos, you'll be extremely proud of them, even more than of your kingdom, Gaia said as she pointed at the growing city. Mother, all of this is thanks to you, Chronos said with a full-blown smile. If it wasn't for you and this great gift, that horrible father of mine would still be king, Chronos said as he took his scythe from his side and lifted it high into the air. Gaia sighed sadly as she thought of her ex-husband. Has there been any news about your brothers? Gaia asked. With that question, Chronos' smile turned into a frown. I'm sorry, Mother. I've sent search parties, but nobody has been able to find the Cyclopses or the Hecatoncheires, Chronos lied. Your father must have destroyed them then, Gaia said with another sad sigh. I cannot feel their presence on Earth. and you said you weren't able to find them in the pit of Tartarus. Yes, when I locked Father's pieces down there, I searched for days, but could not find a trace of my brothers. Chronos lied a second time. A tear fell down from Gaia's face as she let out a single sob. I'm sorry you have to see me like this, my son. I just dearly miss your brothers. I understand, Mother, Chronos said with a frown. But in his mind, Chronos was smirking. After all, he knew exactly where those abominations were. He had found them in the pit of Tartarus, bound in a prison built by Tartarus himself. There they would stay for eternity, being tortured by their half-sister, Campe. An alarm suddenly went off in Chronos' mind. As the Titan of Time, it was of the most importance for the king not to be late. Mother, my apologies, but I have a meeting with Hyperion in just a minute. This is where I must leave you. Wiping the last bit of tears off her face, Gaia hugged and said her goodbyes to Chronos and teleported away. Appearing in her garden, Gaia let out a scream of rage for the loss of her 6 children. Her scream uprooted vines, flowers, and pieces of earth into great piles. Eventually calming down from her rage, out of the corner of her eye, Gaia noticed something odd. The piles of her uprooted garden had formed into strange shapes. Observing the piles with great focus, an idea struck the Earth Mother. So Gaia walked up to the first pile and breathed on it. The earth, vines, and flowers began to melt off the pile, revealing an unusual-looking creature. The creature stood on 4 legs, each leg having a foot with 5 toes at the bottom. Continuing up the creature, Gaia saw that it had both female and male genitalia. Further up, coming out of the creature's torso, were 4 arms, 2 coming out from the right and 2 coming out from the left, each with a hand and 5 fingers at its end. Finally, Gaia looked at the creature's face, only to find that the creature had 2 heads and 2 faces. Blinking at Gaia, the creature walked up to its mother and hugged her. Mother, said the creature. Surprised with the first word of her newest child, Gaia began to cry and hugged the creature back. Yes, I am your mother, said an overjoyed Gaia. Gaia then walked over to the other mounds and breathed life into each and every one. She then raised a great wall of earth and shaped it into multiple small homes. Then the earth began to shake, followed by the sudden appearance of numerous crops popping out of the ground. Soon after, water started flooding in the middle of the garden until it formed into a small lake. The beautiful garden was now a paradise made especially for the new children of Mother Earth. After she was finished, 50 of the creatures stood in front of her. My children, Gaia said proudly, you are all so beautiful. Never let anyone tell you differently. You will live in peace and prosperity and will be known as a whole as the human race, the precious children of Mother Earth. The humans cheered and began to explore their new home. Seeing her new children's faces filled with joy, Gaia made a promise to herself that she would do everything in her power to make sure the humans were happy and didn't experience pain. She would not allow any more of her children to be harmed. With the birth of this new race, the beginning of humanity was written into history and would be known as the Golden Age of Man.